Are you recording, dear Alon?
I am now, because I have the feeling that you have already started recording whenever you asked that.
Yep.
Wonderful.
All right. Hello and welcome back to the Fic List, everybody!
Welcome
Woo-hoo!
back. Woo! Oh
Woo!
my gosh. Another episode.
It's
Incredible.
been so long since we last recorded!
Yes!
It has been one spoonful of peanut butter and a bathroom break later.
Indeed it has. How are you, Erin? It's been so long.
Still good. Better now that I've had peanut butter.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yep. I do love a peanut butter. I normally am a smooth peanut butter girly.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But they did not have smooth peanut butter when I went to the grocery store the other week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get chunky? What's the word?
It is chunky,
Is it
yeah.
chunky? That feels
It
like
is.
the wrong word.
It does feel like an interesting one. Or, oh, no, wait, no, it's not chunky. Is it crunchy?
It's crunchy! I got chunky peanut butter.
Listen, I get crunchy peanut butter, and I'm always like, it's chunky. Or maybe it is chunky. Which one is it? I don't remember.
I think it's crunchy. But yeah, I got it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is a fun new texture. But yeah, I will go back to smooth because I do generally prefer it. Because I often bake with peanut butter, so it's like, chunky is not great for baking purposes. But anyway, that spoonful of peanut butter really did wonders for my state of being.
Heck yeah. If you're curious, it seems to alternate between crunchy and chunky amongst brands.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
That explains some
I
things.
used to be a smooth peanut butter girl, but now I at some point I made the change, and I was like, I feel like I want a little extra, like a little something on my PB&Js, and I've really enjoyed it. But I don't begrudge people who are like, it's not for me.
Yeah, so can I share a thing with you that generally horrifies the general public when I say it?
Yeah, as long as you're prepared for me to be generally horrified as well.
I hate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hate them. I think they're gross.
that's a totally natural and socially acceptable stance to take. Yeah.
I do feel like I am threatening my citizenship to this dear United States by saying that out loud. I don't know. The interplay of peanut butter and any type of jelly, it makes me gag. I hate it. I don't know.
Wild.
Yeah, it like becomes this taste that I really, really, really hate. I love peanut butter sandwiches. So I will just put peanut butter
You
on
just
bread.
have peanut butter and bread?
Yeah, peanut butter on bread.
Don't
And my
you
mom
end
does
up like
this
a
too.
dog? Like,
Yeah. It's fine.
no. Oh, okay, sorry. Please proceed.
Yeah, so I will put... This doesn't feel like a safe space all of a sudden.
Yeah, this has turned into an inquisition. Yes, correct.
Yeah, so I'll do peanut butter. So you put some peanut butter on a piece of bread and then you fold it in half, really specifically. It must be folded. It cannot be stacked and then cut. It has to be folded in half. And then you get this little pocket of peanut butter surrounded by bread and you eat that. And this is a thing that I definitely learned from my mother. I also come from the land of peanut butter and fluff sandwiches, which I don't care for. I don't like peanut butter and fluff sandwiches for similar reasons that I don't like peanut butter and jelly, but it's a New England thing. I don't know if it started in New England, but it is a thing. And my elementary school would have them as like an option for lunch, which is so 90s that like I can't even begin to piece that together because one, peanut butter at a lunch table in a school? What?
Awful idea.
But also, you just fed 5-year-olds literal marshmallows on peanut butter on bread. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
that is
all interesting
horrifying.
decisions. Yep.
Yeah, that's my horrifying realization for the day. I'm gonna get canceled. If you get canceled for hating France, I'm certainly gonna get canceled for hating PB&J. It's the
That's
J.
so funny.
It's
I'm
the
glad we're
jam. That's
both
the
canceled.
problem.
That's
Yeah.
the jam. Yep, except not on the bread, not
Yeah.
in the sandwich.
I don't tend to go much for jelly anyway. Like, I will eat it on like toast or like an English
killing
muffin
me.
or whatever, but I don't eat a lot of it. Like, it's just not a thing that I have a lot of.
So you don't like a jelly filled donut?
No, I love a jelly donut.
Then what are you talking about? What else do people eat jelly or jam with?
I don't know. Like, some people eat, what I mean to say is I don't eat a lot of it. Like, it's very much a special occasion thing or just like a rarely
The
thing.
mood has to strike. Okay, yeah, that's
Right.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Like, if I have toast, I will just as readily put non-dairy butter on it and be totally happy with that. Like, I won't go out of my way to, like, pull jelly out of the cupboard.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No, we were talking about delightful childhood snacks that you might encounter in a playground, Erin. So what's our tag today?
Oh, yeah, I'm so proud of you for So excited. We're talking about teacher AUs.
Woo, teacher AUs. Oh,
I'm
man.
so unbelievably proud of you.
Thank you. You know what? I've learned something over the years.
As you were doing it, I was like, yes, he's doing it.
Yes.
I felt like the movie Cool Runnings, where I was standing on the side watching you luge, going, yes, he's winning the gold.
Oh my God. Delightful.
Sorry, genuinely thrilled about that.
I'm so glad I could give that experience to you. I felt very proud of it.
It was really good. Yeah, teacher AUs, schools, woohoo!
Yes.
Yay!
Do you read many teacher AUs?
I guess I guess it's not a thing again that I seek out actively, but sometimes in the right context with the right characters, they can be delightful.
Agreed.
Some people were destined to be preschool teachers, all right? And it's such a delightful thing. And I think the best part of teacher AUs, or one of the best uses of teacher AUs, is teacher AUs meshed with some other type of very cool AU. So it's like one is a teacher and one is a tattoo artist, or you know, some kind of like contrasting profession.
Yep.
And that is, I love that shit. I think it's amazing.
It's 2 for the price of 1. BOGO.
Yeah. It's so good. And like there's always like one of them inevitably has a kid, and so it's like your kid's preschool teacher or whatever, which is like a beautiful tension.
Yep.
And it's just so fun. Do you read teacher AU much?
Again, yeah, I also don't seek it out a lot, but I do find that whenever I come across it, it makes me happier than like some other stuff that I may be like, oh yeah, like I could be in the mood for that. I would say I like it a lot, but also yeah, agree. Like sometimes it's not my favorite if it's not done well, but it's very good generally. I enjoy it a lot.
It can be one of those things that like starts off strong and then goes off the rails really quickly.
Yeah. Thank you for naming that. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, strong starts usually, and then somewhere in the middle you're just like, okay, where are we going? And sometimes I find that maybe authors don't know the answer to that. They're like, I don't know where we're headed.
I was here for a good time, not a long time.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, mostly it's a love relationship as opposed to like a love-hate or anything like that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think they're fun.
Are there certain things you like about them? Like, is there what qualifies like, oh, this was a good one for you?
I was just gonna ask you that question. God damn it.
So sorry.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
You can ask it.
No, it's okay.
We'll cut it.
No, it's all good. I can this is my penance for not liking peanut butter and jelly. I love if one of the characters has like a young child who is very precocious and cute and whatever, and like that kid's teacher is now involved. Sometimes I also like if the kid is like a little hellion and the teacher has to be like, your kid is kind of chaos incarnate, and now we have to deal with that. There's an unfinished one in the Magicians fandom. It's been 0 recording sessions since I've mentioned the Magicians, about Elliot Waugh having a daughter and raising that kid with Margot. And so of course this is Elliot and Margot's child, so she's chaos incarnate, and Quentin is her teacher.
Adorable.
And it's very, very good, but it's 1 chapter short of being finished.
No.
And it has been for years.
Oh no.
Sad.
Devastating.
Bad news bears. Anyway, I love that kind of construct. I also I don't read these a lot, but I also like romances between teachers.
Oh yeah.
I think if like sometimes it's like, you know, this is the like one character is the art teacher and the other is like the history teacher, like that's kind of fun. Yeah, I think those are all fun. The thing that I don't read, I never read teacher student fic.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I know that some people, it's like, I try not to cast judgment. Like, it's fine if that's a thing that you're interested in reading, go for it. Like, I just will filter it out. Like, I don't read that.
Yeah, absolutely. The sheer amount that is out there, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, look at this.
I mean, I get why in fantasy it's appealing.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, I do understand it. It's just something that like I can't even read about.
Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I understand that.
But yeah. What about you? Are there things where you're like, yes, this is my shit?
One of the things I love about teacher AUs is just how well they lend themselves to like the holidays, and like there's always like a little like, oh, this is like a Christmas episode, or like this is a like they did Valentine's Day activities or anything like that. I'm a sucker. I love having things to celebrate. I think that's, you know, there's so much bad or like sad in the world that it's nice to have just an occasion of like, this is just sweet and fun. And I, especially like through the lens of like a teacher and kids and usually I find, I mean, I'd be interested to hear about this, but I think a lot of the teacher AUs that I come across are always like young kids, like,
Yes.
nothing above like a nothing above third grade, usually like pre-K, kinder, maybe first or second kind of a thing, but they're younger usually. And so you get that like child like innocence and like it's really sweet. I love that.
Yeah.
Also really love like field trips. Oh my god, I love a fucking field trip. Even now as an adult, like when I went to California for work this past week, I was like, this is like an adult field trip. Yay.
Yeah. There is a great TikTok that goes around that's like, field trips are wasted on the young. The things I would do as an adult. If my boss walks in and goes, we're going to go to the petting zoo. Fuck yeah. I want to go to the petting zoo. I'll grab my brown bag lunch and get on my little, like, in my little Uber XL and we'll go and it'll be fucking great. Yeah, it's so true. You're right, though. Like, it is very often much younger children. Even if the characters themselves don't have kids, it's like they still teach a young grade. And I wonder if part of that is like a nostalgia feel. Because it's like, I don't know many people who have nostalgia for high school. And the people who do have nostalgia for high school, by and large, I don't think are reading fan fiction. And so it's like, it's kind of interesting that it's like always about a younger age group. Maybe we generally have better feelings associated with teachers from that era of our lives, and maybe that's why we write about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And also I would say that what you were talking about made me think of is that if people do feel nostalgic for like high school or college stuff, it's its own tag. You write about them as students as opposed to like the teachers teaching that grade. I find usually. Yeah,
definitely. There's also just something, again, like it is very sweet for, especially with like characters who are like really buff or really tough or really like whatever. Like Steve Rogers was born to be a preschool teacher. Like, can you imagine Captain America like teaching the 5-year-olds? Like,
oh my god, singing songs on a carpet. Yes,
you know what I mean. And it's like he could be a high school teacher too, but I don't know. There's something just like softer and more like more more rom-com-y, frankly, about the preschool teacher era.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's important to acknowledge that like the work that teachers do in real life is extremely difficult. Teaching early childhood is extremely difficult. And so this AU is very much about the fantasy, right? Like, yeah,
for sure.
I know too many teachers to not acknowledge the difficulty of what they do and the difficulty of what they're doing right fucking now in this country, trying to like survive. So we're talking about this very much from a like fantasy perspective and a fic trope perspective, not the reality of what teaching is like.
If you're interested in like what sounds like a really accurate portrayal of teachers, I have heard is Abbott Elementary, which I have been loving. It's a delightful show, and I've heard from a lot of teacher friends who are like, yeah, that's the reality. That's my experience. I feel represented. So go give that a watch. Also very like heartwarming and hilarious.
I love Quinta Brunson so much.
Incredible.
From her BuzzFeed days. She was always like one of my favorites on BuzzFeed. So when I saw her face like just around on like ABC or whatever, I was like, what the fuck? You breached containment. This is awesome. Yeah. Like, so cool. It's kind of like having like a weird like college acquaintance, get famous, right? It's like that moment, which Alan knows has also happened to me. But it's like that same feeling where I'm like, oh, I know you from something smaller. It's the Darren Criss effect, where you're like, I know you from this niche thing, and now you are broadly known, and like, good for you. I'm proud of you and happy for you.
Agreed. Yeah, same experience. If you haven't seen it, Aaron, highly recommend. Haven't seen it. Delightful time.
I'll put it on my list after A League of Their Own, because I haven't done that yet either.
Oh my god, yeah, that should take precedence. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Great. So I think I should talk about yours this time, right? Because last episode you talked about mine first.
If you feel like it, yeah. We could say fuck tradition and just do whatever we want.
What am I, a heathen?
I mean, we've already we started this episode with a hot take. We could do whatever we need.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll start.
Cool.
The symmetry feels good in my brain.
Great.
So, Aaron, you sent me a fic titled More Pressure, Please. It is on Archive of Our Own, and it is written by Clearingly. It is a Heartstopper fic between Nick Nelson and Charlie Spring.
Who else
And
would
the
it
summary, of course. And the summary reads, "Can I help you?" "Gosh, I hope so," Charlie blurted before he remembered where he was and that this friendly man was not flirting, but simply doing his job. He stepped forward to the desk. I have a 4 o'clock appointment." We all know how I feel about excerpt summaries.
Summary.
And can I just say, I just feel like that wasn't even a really helpful one.
Nope, it wasn't good.
I guess, like, you're not sure what. I mean, obviously you do because you read the tags, I've now learned. So you know what it's about, but also, like, the summary doesn't give you any kind of, like, what kind of appointment is he there for? Is it, like, a dentist appointment, perhaps?
Yep.
Car mechanic? But anyway, I digress. So the appointment is actually a massage. It's like massage therapy, like massage therapy appointment. So we have massage therapist Nick Nelson helping teacher Charlie Spring out with some massage therapy. So the fic opens with their first session where Charlie is looking for. Elle suggested this place, it's very queer friendly and like very good because Elle's like, you should get some, preventative care because you do all this like running, long distance running. It would be good for you. And so he goes and that's what he does. And Nick Nelson happens to be his massage therapist. And so, as you caught from the summary, Charlie has a bit of a problem with his filter in this one where he's just like, oh my God, gorgeous man. And it very much reads throughout their first meeting where Charlie's just like constantly like ogling Nick Nelson and like dipping into flirtatious kind of territory. But luckily Nick Nelson's given some vibes too where it's like he seems kind of interested, and it was a really interesting construct, I guess, where because it was their first kind of session together, Nick has to ask him about his background and like does like a what would you call it? Like a consultation, kind of just figure out where Charlie is, what his like problem areas might be that he needs help in. And so like one of the things that I'm thinking of is Nick is like feeling, for lack of a better word, feeling up Charlie's like forearms, and he's like, oh, do you do a lot of like lifting weights or like manual labor? And Charlie's like, no, but I'm a drummer maybe. And so Nick is like, oh, that's really cool, yeah, that would totally explain it. And so you're a drummer, is that what you teach? And Charlie says, no, I teach maths, which is really funny, maths years 2 and 3. And so I think like it was a smart way to get them to like open up and like at least on those very like basic things, like things you would ask like on a first date, like they're already having to need that information. And there's this whole air because Charlie struggles with body issues in canon, so he has a lot of anxiety about like this gorgeous man like touching his body and like doing this massage. And so he, in order to kind of circumvent that, he's like, I need to have like just small talk with this man because it'll keep my mind off from the spiraling that might happen. So he's like really asking a lot of questions about Nick. And at one point, like Nick, says, oh, I used to play rugby. And then he's like, oh, are you okay? You just tensed up a lot. Did I hit like a weird muscle or something? And Charlie's like, no, it's probably just because, I didn't have a great experience with the rugby lads in school when they found out I was gay, kind of throwing feelers out, as you do.
As one does.
As one does. And Nick says, oh, okay, yeah, I totally understand. I probably would have come out as bisexual a lot sooner if I hadn't been always so in the rugby kind of mentality. So it's them dropping little hints here and there. And then, there's this really adorable story where Charlie asks, oh, so when did you find, like, what was the aha moment for you that made you realize you were bisexual? And Nick's like, oh, I was actually, like, it was Spider-Man. Relatable. But more specifically, he talks about the like fan art that was circulating where like, what if male superheroes were hypersexualized in the same way that female superheroes are, and then they draw like Spider-Man and Iron Man and Captain America in like these really salacious poses with like really tight costumes. And if you've seen them, they're out there, you know what I'm talking about. And I thought it was so funny and such a charming way for him to have had that aha moment. So yeah, they have like this really flirty banter back and forth, and the session goes well, and Charlie's like just about getting his stealing his nerve to ask Nick out on a date, because he's like, I think that this guy's flirting with me too, and he's gorgeous, I would really like to take him out on a date. But at the very end of the session, Nick seems to be like avoiding his eyes and like is a little more withdrawn than he has been throughout the session. So he pays and he like sets up another appointment for 2 weeks in the future. Charlie does, and decides not to. He's like, he's just doing his job. Maybe I read the signs wrong. I'm gonna I'm gonna play it cautiously. I'm gonna hold back a little.
Mm-hmm.
So his next appointment comes. He shows up, and Tara is the one that's there, and is like, oh, hey, I'm actually gonna be doing your appointment today. Nick had something come up. And Charlie's a little disappointed, and in the back of his head, he's, that natural. I think any of us would feel that. It's like, did I creep him out? Did I come on too strong? Oh shit, fuck.
Did I cross the
okay,
line?
no, this is. Yeah, but he's like, okay, no, this is fine. Like, it's just, I got to believe him, take him at his word that he's busy. Something's come up. Okay. He does a session with Tara, and it's really wonderful. And he's like, okay. At the end of it, when he's paying and booking his next appointment, Tara asks, oh, do you want Nick to be your massage therapist for the session, since he was the one you started out with? And Charlie hesitates. He's not sure, but also doesn't quite know how to verbalize no, because if I creeped him out, then I don't want him to feel like he has to. But ultimately decides, yeah, let's advocate for what you want. Mm-hmm. Yes, I would like Nick Nelson to be my massage therapist. Okay, great. 2 weeks later, he comes in for his appointment, gives his name, and it's Darcy at the desk this time. And Darcy is like, oh, you're Charlie Spring. I'm the one who's going to be doing your massage. And so Charlie has this moment where like, oh, fuck, I did creep him out, or I did cross the line. This is awful. And you can see it on his face. And Darcy's like, oh, okay. And he calls out, hey, Nick, can you come out here for a sec? And Nick walks out totally unassuming, not realizing what's happening. He's like, yeah, what's up? Oh. And then sees Charlie, and Darcy basically ambushes him and is like, can you explain to our dear friend Charlie Spring why you're avoiding him?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I was so anxious. Throughout that entire sequence, I was like, no.
Yeah, that's Darcy, though.
Yeah, absolutely. They nailed Darcy. Absolutely. Yeah. And then Charlie's having this moment where like, oh, no, you don't have to explain anything. He's like about to walk. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I'll find somewhere else. Thank you so much. And Nick is like, whoa, wait. Very, very reminiscent of what is actually in the show. Like, hang on. Let me talk. And Nick, admits, okay, so the last month I've been trying to find the nerve to ask you out. And I don't date my clients. That's a professional boundary I don't want to cross, especially because, you have to expose your body and it's already such a vulnerable place. I don't ever want to do that to a client. But I've been struggling about how to do it. And I'm so sorry if that's how I made you feel. But I would like to, that's what I've been grappling with. And Charlie's like, oh, yeah, okay, then yes, I would love to go out with you. And Nick's like, great, how about tonight? Can I take you out to dinner tonight after your appointment? And Charlie says, yeah, absolutely. I would love that. So Charlie goes off to his appointment. Nick runs off home. He's like, I think I have enough time. I have an hour. I can have enough time to run home, take a shower, change out of my t-shirt and joggers situation and get into something nice. So he does, comes back. They go out to dinner. They go get curry at this place around the corner. And there's an emphasis on how natural it feels and how Nick specifically feels like, oh, this is not... It's disconcerting how much home this feels, how comfortable I am. So they have a very lovely first day. And then afterwards, Nick, I think, is verbalizing that he doesn't want the date to end, but doesn't know what else to do. He's like, this is a first date. I don't want to invite you back to my place. And, he's like, I don't want to move too fast. And Charlie's like, well, that's fine. I don't mind. I also don't want the date to end. So they settle on going to Nick's place, which is the closest. And then Xbox or maybe something else. They've been very heavy petty and flirtatious in the physical aspects kind of way. Mm-hmm. Nick will flex his bicep because he knows that Charlie has a thing for his arms and kind of a moment. And on the way there, they have a conversation where Charlie's basically trying to figure out whether or not Nick is out. He clearly has some trauma there and doesn't want to repeat past experiences. And Nick talks about how he's been out to his mom and his friends for years, but he very recently, in the last month or so, came out to his homophobic brother and to his father, who also has apparently had some experiences with men, which was an interesting thing. And that's when kind of Charlie clues into the fact that Nick really likes him and that, he wanted to come out because what was the quote? It was something like, dating a man in theory is different from actually dating a man. And I wanted to make sure that I had those, I's were dotted and T's were crossed. Right. And so they get into... Oh, they have a conversation, too, where Nick says, I've never been with a guy before. And Charlie's like, well, can I be your first kiss? And so, they kiss outside the apartment, and then it grows into heavy petting. And so Charlie, even whispers in his ear at one point, can I be, what other first can I be? Or can I be your other firsts and other things? They get into Nick's apartment, and then some action happens right at the doorway as soon as they get in. Nick sucks Charlie off, and then they move over to Nick's bedroom where it's reciprocated. They have mind-blowing sex, and both of them are like, wow. And Charlie at one point was like, that was way different from any of the experiences I've had. And Nick's like, oh, well, you've dated a bunch of knobs then. And it's very sweet. And that's the end of the fic. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I took notes, actually. Hang on. Let me pull those up.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. And by that, I mean I just took screenshots of things and highlighted them because I was like, wait a minute.
Hey, we'll take the wins.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, man. Okay. So I had this thing where I really enjoyed the fic, but I don't know if put off by, but there was something that I was like, it wasn't sitting quite right. I feel like this author maybe relied a little too much on their like canon connections to then try and like they brought some of that into theirs. So like I highlighted this where it was like, this is during their date. Nick had never had this much fun on a date before. Charlie shared such hilarious stories about his friends and his siblings that Nick felt he knew them. And he asked interesting questions that got Nick thinking and talking about his own life in new ways. And I tend to struggle a lot with fics that do that, where it's like, okay, could you give us even just an example? Or like, oh, Charlie talked about his brother Ollie doing this, or talked about his sister Tori doing that. And then Nick shared about how his friends, like that time that Tara and Darcy did this. Like, I understand sometimes we need to like, for expediency's sake, to not hold up to keep the narrative moving, you need to like have these like summary, like cutting down on what the actual is, like not showing, but telling us. I understand. But that thing I just read to you, I was like, okay, well, it felt so generalized. And I was like, I can't really connect on that level. So it feels like you're relying on my love of these characters from the canon in order to, make your story work, which fine. Like I can do that. Totally fine. But it does bring me to my other thing that I wasn't quite sure. And I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. I thought they were a little out of character. For me, which I understand because I think that the author was trying very much like to say, oh, I really want to see them aged up. That was a point that the author made up in the author's notes and then like the tags, like, oh, what would it be like if they were aged up or this or that? And I get it. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. So like these are different versions. I can't think of them as 15 and 16-year-old respectively, like Charlie and Nick. I have to think about them all. They've had different life experiences, fine. But there was like one of the things that I highlighted was there's a point where Nick is talking about how he's come out to his parents and like or to his dad and how that interplays with his identity. And he has like word vomit, he says, and he doesn't quite know how to stop and realizes at some point that he's going to come across as too needy. And he's like, oh man, I'm going to push Charlie away because I'm giving too much information off at once, which I was like, I don't think that that's a Nick Nelson attribute, at least not one that comes across from the show or the webcomic that I've read. I'm not caught up, to be fair. But I was like, I don't know that that's something that he would have struggled with. I know, like, the interplay with, like, identity and, like, coming out, sure. But I don't know that necessarily that was something that he would struggle with. And that I don't know that it was off-putting, but it did put me off a little. I was like, I don't know. I don't know that this is the Nick and Charlie that I know. And then, and this is something that I think is really funny. If you go back to our first Heartstopper episode, I was like, I don't ever want to read Nick and Charlie like having sex. Like, I don't know that that's something that I ever need in my life. So I was like, okay, great. We're going to do this anyway. And it was hot. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I really I thought that actually, I should amend that to say I think that the way that the author did Charlie, I think was beautiful. I think it was actually really well done. It was a version of Charlie that was more grown up, has lived through like all of his experiences perhaps, but has figured out how to cope with them, and how that showed up in the fic was done really well. I think Nick was maybe not quite as strong, which makes sense because a lot of Nick's character, at least in the early part of that, is him navigating what it means to be bisexual, to possibly be bisexual, to be questioning, to like have all of these firsts come up. So that I understand. Like maybe it is a little easier to springboard off of Charlie, who has more nuanced and maybe more universal, I feel like, because experiences with like mental health and like body issues and, those are things, at least for me. And that could be another thing. It's like maybe this is just the way that I'm interpreting them. But to me, I felt like Charlie was a little more, they nailed Charlie a little better than they did Nick. And so during the sex, I was going to say, I found it really refreshing how like confident Charlie was in it. I was like, oh, good for him, especially because again, it's this person who has dealt with body issues, being in a position where you are are being very vulnerable. You get naked with another person. It's a lot. And, good for him. But also maybe out of character. I don't know. So that's what I was sitting with when I was reading this. I was like, I did enjoy it, but I have questions / things I'd like to flag. Also, I'd like to point out, other than the fact that Charlie was a teacher, this was not a Teacher AU fic.
I have been sitting here for 25 minutes wondering when you were going to point that out, because I was like, I didn't really do the assignment.
You know what you did. I was going to let you sit in it.
I was like, I'm surprised he didn't lead with this criticism. Because it seems like something that he should lead with, which is there's none of the Teacher AU elements in this. Because guess what, readers? I panicked and couldn't struggle to find one, and was like, I just looked through my bookmarks. I searched the word teacher. This one came up, and I said, good enough, and I put it in the
Amazing.
Because unfortunately, many of the Teacher AUs that I read are unfinished.
Oh no,
they are not finished, and I wanted to send you other ones that had more of the things that we were talking about, and like the one from the Magicians is fucking amazing, but it's not complete, and that's one of our requisites, is that it has to be a completed work. And I almost did it anyway. I almost sent you an incomplete work anyway, because I was so frustrated, but then I was like, no, this is the rule, like whatever. So I sent this one instead. I also wanted the opportunity, if you want to talk about it, to talk about the whole situation with Kit Connor.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I thought that would be an interesting sort of segue. You gave this so much more deep and intricate thought than I thought you would. So I'm sitting here like, oh no, he like really did the assignment, and I would have to be here and be like, I'm a gremlin who didn't really do it. But no, everything you're saying is true. Like, I agree with everything that you're saying. Like, they are pretty out of character. It's not a Teacher AU. Like, I liked that they were aged up. I think having that conversation of like, what do they look like if they meet later in life is interesting. It's the construct that many of the fanfics that I read of them follow. I'm reading a Baker Nick AU that is really, really great right now, where it's like, he runs a bakery and Charlie orders a
you gotta tell me when that ends.
Yeah,
I think you told me about
good.
this one. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that like this interpretation of these two characters is very different from canon, which is also why I kind of thought you might be okay with it being an explicit fic, because it's kind of the version of fanfic where it's like, no, I'm just writing these two stories with these people's faces on them.
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, it didn't it didn't squick me out as badly as I thought it would.
Yeah, well, and the aged up helps, I think.
For sure. Yeah. You mentioned the Kit Connor thing, and I also. You mentioned, you texted me very recently, and I was like, I've been obsessing about Heartstopper again. I've rewatching it. I need you to obsess with me. And the hilarious thing is, like, literally maybe like a week or two before that, I had my obsession again. I rewatched it like twice. It really does. Sometimes you just like, I need something that's like heartwarming, but like it still gives me the feels in the right way. And Heartstopper does that.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, and so were you rewatching it strictly because of the Kit Connor thing? What was the timing on that? Which I guess we should explain what happened.
Yeah, I did not start rewatching it because of the Kit Connor thing. When we say the Kit Connor thing, what we mean is that Kit Connor, who plays Nick Nelson in the show, has been the subject of a lot of scrutiny over the course of time since the show has been released, as the entire cast has been, but it particularly is true with Kit, about his sexuality and whether he is actually queer in real life, like all these things. And Joe Locke came out, a couple of the other cast members came out with different identities, and like that's all well and good. A fair number of people on the internet have basically accused Kit Connor of queer baiting by not coming out as anything but playing a queer character. I need everyone listening to sit down. Come here.
Yeah.
A real person cannot queer bait. Queer baiting is a term about narratives and media and fiction. A real person cannot queer bait you.
Yep.
A person can be in the closet. A person can be private with their sexuality despite being a public figure. A person cannot queerbait you with their own identity. That's where we're starting this conversation from, just to be clear.
Good. That's a great disclaimer. Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was, after a certain amount of time, he had been off of social media for quite a while. He had pushed back a lot on sort of the internet thing about him and Joe, and like the ways in which people talk about him, because Joe Locke has also been the subject of a lot of scrutiny, but specifically for his looks, which is fucked. He has been very clear that social media, he was stepping away from social media. It's unhealthy. He was like, y'all need to rewatch Heartstopper and remember some of the lessons of Heartstopper before you interact with us. And finally it came to a head where he posted a tweet that basically said, "I'm bi. I hope you feel good about forcing someone to come out of the closet. Clearly you have not actually watched this thing that you know me from." And that was an awful thing to read. I don't know how you felt reading that, but I was like, oh, hon, my heart broke for the child that he is.
Yeah.
Because he is so young. And, like, we're not, like, you know, it's a 10-year or so difference, right? Like, I don't mean to infantilize at all.
No.
But
yeah.
I was like, you are going through something at such a young age that is so hurtful and so damaging. And my heart breaks for you that this is what you felt like you had to do. I also, to be honest, felt like he should not have posted it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, immediately what happened, and I was like, this is the internet, this is what it is. People started dogpiling him with bi erasure. And I was like, don't feed the trolls. Never feed the trolls. And I understand that what he's going through is so much bigger than I could ever. I've never experienced this. I could never know what it's like to have to live that kind of life. But my heart broke for like how much I was like, I know that you are in a place where there is no good path forward.
Yeah.
Like, it's all bad. Because you can come out and be like, this is my truth and whatever, and now you're going to get that shit. Or you can continue to be private about it and continue to get bullshit about it. I think if it had been me, I would have continued to be private about it. But maybe that's just me. My heart broke for him. And I wanted, like, as I was rewatching Heartstopper, it occurred to me that, like, we could talk about this and, like, have a moment of, like, we stand with you, Kit Connor. You'll never hear this. But there are so many people out there, I think especially people in the queer community, who just want you to be happy and safe and well and know that what you're going through sucks. And I'm sorry on behalf of everyone that you have been going through this.
Yeah.
What about you, Alan?
I had a similar moment, but mine also like was immediately filled by like anger. I was so angry on his behalf. I was like, I cannot believe that people are, like he mentioned, like I cannot believe that people might have watched that show and then engaged in that rhetoric of like, oh, what is he like, demanding answers, when it's like, did you watch the show? Here's the thing, it's like, it wasn't even like, oh, it's a metaphor for this, it's a metaphor for grief, it's a metaphor for finding your identity. Like, it was literally his character's arc is about the fact that he feels like, I don't want to feel pressured to make a decision about this, like I don't feel like I should have to, and it's only ever met with love and positivity and like, yes, take your time.
Right.
Why is it so like hard for people? Like, stay out of it's not your business. Fuck off.
Yep.
Like, drives me crazy. It's one of those things about social media that it's like really ruined, that has completely fucked people. Like, you're not entitled to anyone's information. Like, and I understand this is something that, you know, comes with the territory of being a celebrity. Unfortunately, that sucks. I hate it so badly. But to have had this, like, a child, literally, like, he was like, his tweet, I think, actually says something like, I hope you feel happy that you forced an 18-year-old to have to come out and make the statement. And it's like, he is so young.
He's so
like,
young.
Whatever he's going through is his own thing. And you should not, that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, I guess I should say. I am really, I was deeply, deeply angry on his behalf. And I was like, this makes no sense. But I was like, you know what? If I was, don't make the rest of the show. You know what? You've proven you don't deserve to have nice things. Fuck you.
Right.
Like, how do we live in a world like that? It just drives me up a fucking wall. Go fuck yourselves, everyone who
did that.
engaged in that rhetoric. Yeah. Because it's harmful.
I so agree. And what's wild is the same shit happened to Alice Oseman.
Yeah.
And they were forced to come out as Ace too, because they were called out for writing Ace storylines, and they were like, I'm literally Ace. Whatever. It's frustrating because it is a very toxic outgrowth of a more rightful conversation about queer representation in media, right?
Yeah.
And I understand where people, like, when I put myself in the shoes of the people who are asking these questions, right, I try to figure out where it's coming from. And
you're a kind person.
I'm trying. I think it originates with this idea and this frustration with queer characters written through the straight lens, right?
Absolutely.
And a real struggle with, you know, queer stories are by and large not being told, and if they are, they keep coming through these, like, straight creators, straight storytellers, and if you have faulty logic, you can then make the leap to only queer people should play queer roles, or only queer people can tell queer stories.
Yeah.
Which, not gonna lie, like, there was a brief period in my time where I kind of felt that way, but it was reactionary, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was coming from a
Agreed.
place of hurt and pain. And at no point did that turn into, which means I can now hound celebrities for their personal information.
Yeah.
I still think that people who are of marginalized identities should be the preferable storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
That is a separate issue, or it's a separate conclusion that is not, therefore I can also then demand personal information from people.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating that they have been conflated, because I think the tendency of people to now hound celebrities and turn it into really a witch hunt is undermining the conversation about queer representation in media in a way that is counterproductive and frankly harmful to the community at large, because it makes queer creators less likely to put things out and to create things, because they know that they are now going to be subject to scrutiny in ways that they are not prepared to do.
Absolutely.
And no one is entitled to the personal information of another person, be they celebrity or not.
Yep.
Stop it. Knock it off.
Stop it.
Especially not a child.
God, yeah, it's really infuriating.
Yeah. And like, we could have the whole conversation about how an 18-year-old is technically an adult, so whatever.
Sure.
He's so young. I didn't come out as Ace. I didn't know I was Ace until I was 24.
I was gonna say, in my head, this is, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, but in my head, I'm like, I found that the older I get, in my head, I've adjusted. I'm like, yeah, legally 18,
Mm-hmm.
you're an adult. Sure. In my head, you're not actually an adult until at least 23.
At least.
At the very
I
least.
was about to
'Cause
say
that's-
30.
Oh, great, I'm a child.
Because
I'm young.
I still feel like a child in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And part of
for
that is
sure.
delayed adulthood because of the circumstances of our economy and all that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, you do not magically become a fully formed adult at 18. You absolutely do not, regardless of who you are.
Right.
I think, yeah, like 23, 24 starts to feel like more of an adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't know. I came out to really myself and like a couple of people. Like, I didn't land on Ace until I was like a senior in college.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had come out as queer before then.
Sure.
I thought I was originally came out as bi in senior year of high school, but still, that's 18.
Yeah.
But think about that growth, right? Like, you can also come out as one thing and then realize that label either never was correct for you or no longer suits you, or things change and your identity shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So forcing someone to navigate that in the public eye is also a level of cruelty
Yeah.
that
Agreed.
is just unconscionable. Like, I can't imagine feeling locked into the identity that I started with forever,
Yeah.
which is kind of how the internet is. You know, it's like, once you say it, it's out there and you can't take it back.
Right. Yeah, man. I'm so glad that you're talking on all these points, because you're very eloquent and saying everything I agree with. And thank you for sharing your own journey. That's very brave.
You're welcome. I've also, with age comes security, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I am now old enough and like out enough and pretty solid enough in like my identity that like I feel safe talking about it in a public forum, and I'm choosing that. And that's
Yeah.
the important takeaway, kids.
Yep, exactly.
It's about choice and consent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm okay talking about it. And yeah, I hope he's okay. I hope he has seen more messages of support than he has negativity. I don't think that's probably the situation, but I hope he receives the support that he deserves.
Yeah. Fully agree.
Just in general, I hope he's all right. And I hope he has
Yeah.
a good enough support system around him that the people who know him in real life are there for him in ways that they know how to be because they're his friend or his family member. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also, like, something I really wanted to talk about that you touched upon was the idea that, like, once you settle, like, on something, on a label, once you label something or on an identity, that you're locked into that forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such an unfortunate truth about the internet, which I thought was very astute of you to say. But so true that life is changing. Like, life is change.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing stays the same. Like, literally nothing stays the same. Maybe stone, a statue, but that's not human beings. And like, what works in one season of your life won't work for the other. And I hope that he finds the grace, or that he's offered the grace and the compassion to continue to kind of question himself and like realize that he doesn't have to be locked into anything just because he put it out on the internet. Yeah. It's really, and to you, dear listeners, know that whatever, like there's always a choice to be made. You know, right now you are working a job. That does not mean you're going to be in that job for the rest of your life. You could, if you'd like to, but the choice is always there. You can change, and you should never be tied to or feel like you are tied to something just because, oh, well, that's what I said at one point, and that was true at one point. Doesn't mean it's true now.
Right. And you have not failed.
No.
If you make a change like that, or if something shifts, or you realize that like what you thought was the correct thing for you is not. Like you can come to that realization, be grateful for the experiences that you had in that particular moment, be grateful for your growing opportunity, and then make a different choice moving forward, or follow a different path. I think often, particularly with queer identities, it feels like we are all feeling some version of imposter syndrome all the time, and it can be really hard to have that weirdly validated by being like, oh, I'm not actually this thing that I said I was doing. I'm causing harm. No, that's what questioning is about. That's what it is. And as long as you are not disparaging of any of the sides involved in that, as long as you are coming from a place of respect for all sides involved, it's all good. You're totally fine. Like, it's gonna be all right.
Agreed.
And that's the takeaway from today.
Yes.
We still have a whole second fic to talk about.
I know. Let's step off of the soapbox. I guess I should rate this fic.
Yeah, I guess you should.
I'm going to give it a 3.8 because I did enjoy it, and I thought that the sex was really like steamy, and I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, there was just some out of character moments, particularly with anything else, and then I was like, I don't know. And also, this wasn't a teacher at you, but that's more on you than it is on that fic.
I think a 3.8 is great. That sounds lovely to me.
Great. All right, Erin. Why don't we move on to what I sent you?
Great. Feels we should have switched the order. Oops. Oh well.
I didn't remember. I more so I just forgot that the Kit Connor thing was a thing we should have talked about.
Yeah,
maybe
it's okay. Well, everyone, go pause now. Go get a tea. Come back, and we'll resume sort of the lighthearted stupidity that we are known for. Let's see. So you sent me a Teacher AU, and it is really a Teacher AU, friends. It's very good. Called "Give Me Nothing, Give Me You" by author DLS. Right? Or is it?
Yes.
Dees. Okay. It's DLS. In the fandom, The Witcher. Wow.
Look at that.
I don't think you knew this, but I have been trying to find a Witcher fic to send to you for about a season and a half at this point.
You're joking,
nope.
Really?
I have been reading Geralt and Jaskier fic on the sly for about a year and a half now, maybe. And I was like, eventually we got to talk about The Witcher because the fandom is wild and like the stories are really great. And I was like, I'll find a good wump fic at some point, and like that's when I'll do it.
God.
That's what it'll be, because I tend to read extremely angsty, extremely wumpy Witcher fic because it's a very like wumpy show. I've also read a lot of Geralt, Jaskier, Yennefer, OT3 stuff, which I know OT3 is not your
Yeah, no, but I can see how that would work. Yeah, for sure.
So I was like, all right, eventually I'm going to find a Witcher fic, but you beat me to the punch, dear Alan.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's kind of great because now I don't have to do it.
Can I tell you really hilarious? This might just piss you off, actually, but I have not seen The Witcher. I saw the last 2.5 episodes of the latest season with my roommate who was watching it and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And then it was the season finale and I didn't even realize. I was like, wait, was that it? Oh shit, no!
Oh god. Well, I mean, it's not like I've seen The Witcher.
Oh great, that makes me
feel
better.
I haven't seen it. What I have seen are YouTube compilations of Joey Beatty having the shit kicked out of
yes.
it. Like, very much some like YouTube compilation kind of stuff.
Love that.
I think it's wild that we're talking about this with Henry Cavill leaving the show.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we have time today to unpack all of that, but that's wild that your like lead actor was like, I'm gonna go be Superman again, deuces, and they were like Liam Hemsworth. I was like, what? I thought it was a joke. I really thought that was fake, and I was like, oh no.
I'm surprised they're sticking to their guns. I would have thought like after that they would have just been like, Henry, please come back. We'll give you whatever you want.
Right,
that's what I would have done if I was Netflix.
I don't know. Maybe they were contractually obligated. But anyway, that happened. The summary of this fic. Siri's kindergarten letter comes in the mail on a Tuesday. Geralt opens it, skims it, and frowns at the class his daughter has been assigned. Dandelions. Or a modern AU with Dad Geralt and teacher Jaskier. I didn't take notes.
Great.
I read this fic late enough last night that I was like half asleep. I was just kind of like, oh. So I was like, I'll remember in the morning.
And do you remember in the morning?
No. Well, I think it's also helpful. But part of the reason that I think I struggled with taking notes is that this fic starts with the conceit of Ciri, Geralt's daughter, is starting kindergarten and Jaskier is her kindergarten teacher. And it ends with they get together. And there's 45 fucking chapters in between there.
Yeah.
I almost yeeted my laptop out the window when I saw that. I was at work. And I opened up that link just to be like, I wonder what Alan put in the fic list Google Doc. And I went, 45 chapters! I was like, I gotta keep that in my inside voice. And then I looked at the word count and I was like, oh, it's fine. It's like 60,000 words. How is it 45 chapters? I had so many questions. And I was like, I guess I gotta trust the boy that, like, he's not murdering me right now. And then here's the only notes that I took.
Great.
It starts with, what the fuck, 45 chapters? But 62,670 words. I'm suing.
No.
And then my next note is, oh, okay, there are photo sets, lol. Which is the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, there's only one photo set. What the fuck, Alan? That's all of my notes. So, yeah, I mean, the pacing of it is sort of interesting. To dive into the plot a little bit, Ciri, kindergarten, Geralt, single father. Yennefer and he had a very tumultuous marriage, and they had sort of a last hurrah, one might say, where Yennefer got pregnant with Ciri during that time and said up front that she was like, I'm not taking care of this kid. And, like, Geralt had kind of been like, well, maybe this will save our marriage, which is never a good idea.
Mm-mm.
Don't have this save your marriage, baby. And she was like, no, I want to be free. I will sign over, parental custody to you in full. You'll never see me again if you want this kid. And he was like, okay. So he got Ciri. Yen took off. And he has been raising Ciri alone with his brothers and his father ever since. And, like, they have a very sweet father-daughter relationship. Like, Ciri's a cute kid. She's, like, really well adjusted. She's super fun. And, like, but she, like, has everybody wrapped around her little finger. She gets kind of everything she wants. She's a little spoiled. It's very cute. And she starts kindergarten, and Geralt has a small crisis to be like, but the little baby that I used to, like, hold on my chest is now, like, basically a grown-up. Which is very funny for a very stoic character. And Jaskier is the kindergarten teacher who, like, is always playing his guitar and singing songs and dressing in bright colors and very exciting. And Ciri loves him right away. All of the kids love him. And basically what happens, and the pacing of it is such that it's a very, very slow burn. I did write the slowest of slow burns, where, like, notes will come home from school with little, like, smiley faces and stuff, like, written on the back, and, like, Geralt goes to a couple of different school functions and bumps into Jaskier, and they'll have these, like, little conversations. There's, like, little sparks of kind of something interesting. Jaskier is very enthusiastic and very fun and very sweet, and Geralt is very stoic, but Jaskier can, like, read his stoicism right away, which other people very often don't do. Geralt is very, like, socially awkward. He hates hanging out with other parents. He, like, doesn't want to talk to people, but Jaskier, like, gets him. And so they develop, like, a sort of, like, proximity, closeness thing that starts to inch towards something fun. It comes to a bit of a head during, I think it's like a Christmas event, like a fall winter event at the school, where Lambert, Geralt's brother, shows up and bumps into Jaskier when he's about to go get Ciri, and basically invites Jaskier to come to their Christmas celebration, which is out of pocket.
Yep.
Entirely out of pocket. And Geralt overhears part of the conversation where Jaskier says, I'm his daughter's teacher, it would be inappropriate, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But Geralt realizes in that moment, oh, I have feelings for this person. Wow, coming to this realization a little late in the game. But also, I've made him uncomfortable. I need to chill out. And he kind of, like, ices Jaskier out for a minute. And Geralt is signed up to, like, help clean up this Christmas event thing. And Jaskier's like, don't leave. Hey, wait a minute. Don't leave. Mm-hmm. And so they have a little bit, like, it's awkward for like the space of like a chapter, and then they have a conversation towards the end where it's like that's kind of their moment of like, I'm interested, I'm also interested, this cannot happen until I am no longer Siri's teacher. We have to establish this boundary. And I loved that. I love a boundary.
Yep.
It
same.
was so well navigated because it wasn't like either of them were like, feelings, complications. It was just like, I know that I have feelings for you. You know that you have feelings for me. Everything is okay, but we have to do this right. And it's worth doing right. And I thought that was beautiful. Talk about emotional fantasies. Good communication. Wow. So they decide that they're going to be friends, basically, and count down the days until, you know, they can move forward more. And they start having to like navigate some sort of like odd moments. There's one time where Geralt brings Jaskier like a coffee at the school, and they decide that is like not a cool thing to do. Like he's like, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that this isn't right. Like this isn't a good thing. And Jaskier's like, yeah, this was nice, but like maybe don't do this again because it's not something that you would do for other teachers. The through line of the family life of like Geralt and his brothers just like constantly like egging each other on and like being goofy but like always loving each other is like so sweet. Jaskier gets kind of enfolded into the drama through Ciri, so Ciri will tell him about her uncles being silly or whatever, so he like knows the family life secondhand through a 5-year-old, which is hilarious. They start texting back and forth. There's a moment where Geralt freaks out because he's gonna tell Ciri that like he and Jaskier are friends, and she literally is like, I was his friend first.
Yeah.
And it's fine, and it's very funny because she's 5 and doesn't understand what's actually being happening, but she like has a moment of just like, yeah, it's fine, stop it, like knock it off, it's totally fine, like I don't understand why you keep asking me if this is okay, and has like a temper tantrum about that, but is totally fine with Jaskier being in their lives. Let's see what else happens. I mean, they move through the sort of like navigating, you know, texting and being in communication with each other. At one point, Ciri says that she's sad that notes don't come home anymore from school. And it's this very sweet moment where they both realize that, like, yes, they are navigating this relationship as adults, but like Ciri has a right to be like considered as part of this.
Yeah.
And they hadn't considered that she would miss the notes because they are now texting exclusively. So he, like, Jaskier starts sending notes home again. And that I thought was really sweet. The way in which that they handle the child, like the childness of Ciri, I think is so respectful and cute. There's a moment where they run into each other at the grocery store, and that is sort of like a fun moment of like, oh, I'm seeing my teacher out of school, and Geralt's like, you're very cute. This is unfortunate. And that later comes back towards the end of the fic as like they intend to go on. They sort of set up a pseudo date, like this is before they are properly dating, but Jaskier was like, well, I couldn't stop you if you happened to be at the grocery store at 2:00 on Sunday, which is when I happen to be planning to go to the grocery store. So they bump into each other there, and like, you know, it's very cute, and like they're clearly kind of like setting each other up to like inch toward that date. And the very end of the fic is basically they hit the summer. Ciri starts a new school year with a new teacher in 1st grade, and Geralt and Jaskier decide to date. They're like, we don't want to jump right into this right away, but we're doing this, and we're going to navigate what this relationship looks like. Geralt goes to therapy and talks about therapy all the time.
Yes.
He's like, my therapist has advised me against jumping right into this thing. And Jaskier is like, great, let's take it slow then. And they decide to date. And that's kind of where the fic ends. It ends right as they're going to like get into what their life looks like post Jaskier being Ciri's teacher. In case it was unclear, I fucking loved this fic.
Yes.
You crushed it with these two fic choices, Alan. I don't know what California did good things for you, man. Because this was so good. It had all of the elements of a teacher AU that I like. It navigated boundaries so well. It was so grounded. It was so well done. The relationships between the adults, like the family, was so good. It nodded to some things that I know about canon. I obviously don't have canon behind me, but I know Jaskier has a complicated relationship with his family in canon. That comes through in the fic as well, where he has a complicated relationship with his family. And like that was kind of the impetus for the conversation about Christmas, where he's like, I'm not going home for Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And it was just so good. I loved it. The pacing was really good, even though like it wasn't a fast read per se. It took me a while. Like, even though it's a short, comparatively short fic, the pacing is such that, like, you have a lot to go through. It's very dense, plot-wise. But I didn't ever feel like it was too slow or, like, poorly paced. It was just a really thoughtful pacing, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I would gladly read this author continuing into what their early relationship looks like, because I think that would be fascinating. I loved it.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I agree with all the things that you said. And I was actually, in listening to your retelling of this, I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember it being a little slow at the beginning. And I was like, I'm not sure. I wasn't actually sure of whether I was going to send this to you. I was kind of reading it in the hope that I was like, okay, I hope eventually we get to a point where I was like, yeah, that's going to be it. And I did. Once we hit the boundary, like, this has to be the, like, we can't date while I am your daughter's teacher. I was like, oh, absolutely. This is the one. This is exactly to what you were speaking to. Like, that boundary was so refreshing, especially in, like, fanfic world. I was like, oh, yes, amazing. And I think also I was nervous about whether or not you would actually like it, because I think it's way more slice of life, I think, than maybe usually we read. It's like there wasn't any, like, overarching, like, yeah, there's some tension in, like, oh, will they get together? Won't they get together? But like you said, like, pretty early on, by the Christmas time in the chapters, you're like, oh, they do like each other. They've named the thing, and they would, they're still going to connect, but not in that way yet. But there wasn't really, like, an overarching, like, through line. There wasn't any, like, conflict resolution that had to happen. It was literally just, like, a year in their lives and how they navigated the situation, and it was so lovely and so sweet, and, like, just little itty bitty tastes of, like, domesticity and oh my god, we get, like, you get, like, a sick Geralt at one point, and Jaskier was sick at one point, and they're like, it was lovely. I loved it. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
It was so good. I also forgot to talk about this, but it's also funny. Like, the fic itself, like, the writing is funny in the driest manner possible. Like, there's just these little, like, throwaway moments where you're like, that is the funniest fucking shit I've ever read. And I copied and pasted it. I pulled a quotes with Alan.
Yes!
This is on their not date at the grocery store where they're walking through, and because it's a weird time, they don't have any free samples out. Jaskier eyes the folded up table propped against the back wall of the deli section with no small amount of disappointment before selecting a block of artisanal cheese with the resigned air of a man going off to war. That was so funny to me. And, like, but it's funny in the, like, way that life is funny. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it was just so, like, the drama of Jaskier is so well handled. It's never making fun of it. It's always like, yeah, he's a dramatic bitch, but it's, like, hilarious and so grounded, and it's never a parody of it. It was just so funny. And, like, the banter between the brothers is super funny. But, like, I never sat there and was like, oh my god, laughing out loud, ha ha ha. It was just like, oh, this is clever. This is hilarious. And I loved that about this fic, because that is, I think, how life is a lot of the time. The humor of life. If you look for it, the humor of life is in the mundanity of it and, like, the silliness of it. And it was so
Aaron,
good.
That's beautiful. Oh my god, that's moving.
Dropping some truth bombs in this here episode today.
I love it. And yeah, that's so true. Every now and then you're like, it's one of those things that if it happened to you in the supermarket, you'd be like, that's funny, and then move on with your life. Yeah, absolutely. I love that you pointed that out.
Yep. So I had a great time. Thank you for sharing this with me. I love it, and I might go and read more from this author because the writing style is so good.
Nice. Yeah, let me know if there's any other standouts. I absolutely enjoyed it.
Amazing. I would like to rate this fic. Did you have anything else to share before I...
No, I was about to ask you for your rating.
Incredible. We're so on the same wavelength today. I would like to give this fic a 4.8.
Yes! Woo! We'll take it.
It's really, really good. It's really, really good. I mean, it could have been a 5 in my life, I think, if I knew the context a little bit better.
Sure.
You know, I'm always like, I'm saving the 5 for, like, you know,
yeah, I think there's like there's an allowance in which, like, I think that, like, that point too is like you feel it in your soul. There's something in you that screams, this is a 5. Yeah. And so I totally understand, like, for as much as you like it, like, sometimes it's not a 5, and you just, Yeah.
But it is certainly fucking good. So 4.8.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad.
Yeah, amazing.
Man, what an episode.
What a series of episodes, man. I mean, this who'd have thunk on this here Saturday morning that this is what how we would
Not
land.
I.
Not I, said the cow. Not I, said the frog.
All right, Erin, should I ask you the age-old question? If people want to connect with us, how would they do that?
So many ways, dearest Alon. One of these days, I'm going to pop quiz you, and it's going to be really funny.
That's why I always try to listen to make sure. I was like, okay, make sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, fuck, I would have forgotten that one. Good call, Erin.
Yep. So we can be found on our website, theficlist.com, which links off to all of the ways in which you can get in contact with us, including, but not limited to, TikTok, Tumblr, the ficlistpodcast.tumblr.com, run by the inimitable Caitlin.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Thanks, Caitlin. That is your title now and forever. Twitter for now. Once again, this is still November, 19th. Like, this is the same as the previous episode. So unless Elon Musk has done something really thoroughly befucked in the last 15 minutes, we're still on Twitter. So we are technically on Instagram. We are technically on Facebook. Don't do that. You can find all of our episodes on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, all the usual suspects, Audible. We have a reading list that is linked in our episode show notes. So if you want to read the fics that we have read now and in previous episodes, you can do so. You can send us a fan rec via the Google form that is in our little Linktree thing. Once again, word of caution, we have not utilized those very much, so just be aware that that could sit in a Google Doc for a while, and it's not a slight on you or anything else. We just really have not figured out a way to consistently incorporate those into any of the Ficlist product, so just know that that's the situation. I forgot last time, we do have a business email for inquiries that are business related. I don't know what such inquiries would be, but you can send us an email at theficlist@gmail.com. And you can, what's the other one? I forgot one. There's something else.
Ko-Fi?
Yes, Ko-Fi. Thank you. If you feel so led, we would be grateful to receive any donations you would like to send to us via Ko-Fi. We can be found on Ko-Fi, ko-fi, I think, .com/theficlist, or just search for the Ficlist on us. We'll come up. And any such funding that comes through on Ko-Fi goes to furthering, the offsetting production costs for this podcast, which we appreciate very much. We've had several folks give to us. We are still incredibly grateful. Even $1 is more than we would get on the TikTok creator fund. So when I say any amount, I literally mean any amount. They've set
that's
$1
we don't have now.
Literally $1 is the minimum that they will allow me to put as the the amount that we will accept. So that is what I did, because that is what Ko-Fi required me to do. But exactly like Alan just said, it's $1, that we don't already have. I think that's it.
I think so. Beautifully said.
Thanks. Wow.
All right. Yes, another one in the books. Thank you all so much for listening. And, you will hear us the next time we post. When that will be, only time will tell.
Who's to say? Happy holidays if we don't get another episode out by the time the holidays roll around.
It's very true.
Which is really
Happy
possible.
Spring if some catastrophe happens.
2024 is going to be a great year, everybody.
I feel it in my bones.
Anyway, love y'all.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.